everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mara Knits. And today I want to talk about recycling symbols because they're not actually as clear-cut and obvious as what you might first think. Some refer to whether or not the product is recyclable. Some of the symbols actually refer to the manufacturer of the product, and some of them actually have nothing to do with the product itself. They actually refer to the credentials of the company that made the product with regards to finance. Okay, so let's get into the actual labels that go on packaging. So these are known as on-pack recycling labels, or OPRL, which is an internationally recognised set of symbols. They're not exclusive, people can use other forms of symbols, but these are the ones most widely used. So some of these symbols say widely recycled. What does that actually mean? Well, in England, it means between 25 and 75% of the councils will do a recycling collection that will cover that type of packaging or product. You might live in one of the 25% of councils that don't do that, so you're going to need to check and see if you do or not. Remember, 25% means 1 in 4 councils is not recycling this type of packaging or product. Now, if it says check local recycling, once again it means it's not universally taken. In this case in England, it's between 20 and 70% of local councils will take it, and you're gonna have to check once again. If it says plastic not currently recycled, what it actually means is 20% of councils will recycle it. That's 80% won't recycle this. So it's worth checking, but you may not know what the actual product is, so it may be difficult for you to check to see if your council will actually recycle it. Now, some symbols refer to where you can actually get your stuff recycled. So there are some symbols which will say widely recycled at recycling points. Basically, you're going to have to take it to your local amenity and see if they can recycle it. So this is your recycling point, usually referred to as the dump, and see if they'll take them. Some carrier bags are recycled by shops themselves. So some of the big supermarkets will take carrier bags and they will deal with the recycling. And you will occasionally come across a symbol which says recycle with carrier bags at larger stores, not at curbside. So what that means is whatever that product is, you should be able to take it to one of these points in one of the local supermarkets if it's one of the big ones that's doing the recycling, and they should take it. Okay, so what are the other common symbols? Well, you've got the Mobius loop of 3 arrows that go round on each other. That is an indication that the product is capable of being recycled, but it is not a guarantee that it can be recycled in your area. So you need to check. It's just basically a very general recycling symbol. You've also got what's known as the green dot. Now this is the one of the 2 green arrows, a light green and a dark green, and they're sort of doing a yin and yang thing. Now this one's a bit surprising because it does not mean that your product, whatever it is on, is recyclable. It has nothing to do with how recyclable that product is. What it does mean is that the producer of that product, the company that made it, has contributed financially to recovering and cycling of packaging. So basically, they've spent some money to aid recycling, but it does not relate directly to that product. Okay, so let's look at the individual plastics. Now, these are often a triangle of arrows with a number inside, and they will often have some letters underneath which are abbreviations of the type of plastic. The numbers do not go from bad to good or good to bad. They simply indicate the type of plastic. So what you'll have to do is see if that type of plastic is being recycled in your area. Let's have a quick run through of them. Number 1, PETE or PET. So this is one of the most common plastics that you're going to encounter. It's drinks bottles, tubs, things like that. Very, very common. Number 2, HDPE, high density polyethylene. It's another common one. It's used in toys, kitchenware, cable insulation, that sort of thing. Again, you'll have to check. Number 3, one of the most common names of a plastic that people will recognise, PVC, polyvinyl chloride. It's window frames, doors are made out of it, wire insulation, footwear, all sorts of things like this. Number 4, low density polyethylene, which is LDPE. Toys, carrier bags, general packaging, that sort of thing. Number 5, PP or polypropylene. So it's all sorts of products, and it's often things that are injection moulded or moulded to form a specific shape. Number 6, polystyrene. We all know those polystyrene cups and packaging and stuff like that. Gets absolutely everywhere. Also used in some cosmetics packs, CD cases, that sort of thing. Number 7 is simply designated as other. Basically, if it's a different plastic to that, or if it's a mix of plastics, then it'll go under number 7. Aluminium, or aluminum as it's said in some countries, is also recyclable, but sometimes it's mixed with other things, etc. So there is actually a recyclable aluminium logo. Wood. Now this is one of those symbols which indicates where the product has come from. So if you see the Forest Stewardship Council or the FSC symbol, it indicates that the wood has come from sustainable and certified sustainable forests. So that's to do with the production, not with what you do with it after it's been used. So you've got something which may or may not be recyclable locally. How do you find out? Well, your best option here in the UK is to check with your local council. If you go online, you will be able to check on their website and see what it is that they will collect locally in their recycling collections. They often have additional information, brochures, leaflets, things like that, which you can download, and they will tell you more information. They'll also tell you where your local recycling points are if you have something that you want to recycle which doesn't fall under the stick it in the recycle bin category. There are also other resources online, websites that will give information about what is and what isn't recyclable, and a good example of this is recyclenow.com, which here in the UK will tell you what you can and can't recycle and help direct you to places where you can recycle it if it is recyclable. So in conclusion, some things are easier to recycle than others, and some things are easier to recycle where you live than others. Some places it's a lot easier to recycle stuff because it's easier to buy stuff that is recyclable. It's easier to go to a low waste or a zero waste shop in your food shopping. A lot of places don't have them. We don't have one locally, so that's actually not an option for us at all. You can of course also help drive change by choosing products that are either recycled or are recyclable over ones that aren't. If you start buying things that are recyclable, that's what companies are going to start making. Now, there's a lot of chat and a lot of talk about zero waste and zero waste shops, living a zero waste life. Now, personally, I think that is a very admirable aim, and if you can shop zero waste or move towards being zero waste, that is brilliant, that's great, do it, it's wonderful. But it's not a practical option for everyone. We have no zero waste shops around here. In my town where I live, for buying fruit and veg that isn't pre-packaged, we have one option, which is a tiny, tiny little greengrocers. It's not even an entire shop. It's a newsagent who sells a few fruit and veg as well, and he has a very limited stock. So for a lot of things, there is no other option. You are going to your supermarkets, you're going to Asda, you're going to Tesco's, you're going to Lidl, you're going to Aldi, you're going to whatever store is near you. And if they don't have it, you can't buy it. So while zero waste and low impact is brilliant and it's something to aim for, don't knock yourself up. Don't give yourself a hard time if it is not something that's possible for you at this point in time. All you need to do is make another little step towards being a bit better and being a bit closer to it. And that might be swapping a brand that's in non-recyclable packaging to one that's in recyclable packaging. Now ideally it would be zero waste packaging, but if it's not possible, don't beat yourself up. Remember, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to keep improving, and that'll make all the difference. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give me a thumbs up, let me know what you think in the comments, consider subscribing and clicking on the bell, all the usual things. And I'll be back next week with more chat about knitting, crafting, eco-living, sustainable living, all that sort of stuff. In the meantime, take care. See you later. Bye!